What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fight Like Hell podcast. Today is Monday. It is May 23rd, 2022, in case we're coming to you in the year 2047. We're on episode 59. I got my heterosexual life mate, Austin, with me, and he's got a special guest up in our top left. Why don't you
we got a
introduce him?
special guest.
Yeah, well, I mean, you found him.
It's not me. I don't have the special guest. We have the special guest.
You made this happen. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I want to be.
I got the reference.
So yeah, we got Evan from Den Mother Canine. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Great, man.
A little nervous, but you'll be okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I always get awkward. Yeah. But thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Of course.
No, we're stoked to have you on. Austin told me a little bit about you, but why don't you tell our audience a brief summary about like who you are and what you did and what you're doing now?
Yeah. I'm Evan, and I'm originally from New Zealand. I moved to the U.S. in 98 when I was in 10 or 11, 12, something like that. Mm-hmm. I lived in Washington State most of my life since then, and then I joined the Army, U.S. Army, 2007. And then I was just medically retired last September, and I did medical support for military working dog teams while I was active duty. Like 10 of those years I spent supporting special operations, multi-purpose canine program. So I got a lot of unique experience doing that. And then I was actually had the benefit of being I think it's a wounded warrior with the Special Operations Care Coalition, and I did a 6-month internship thing with them as I was getting medically evaluated with Spike's Canine Fund. And then started doing a lot of the medical training with canine nonprofits to try to get a lot of the law enforcement and search and rescue organizations to have the kind of medical training and equipment that we did for military working dog teams, like leaving the military, and kind of finding out that wasn't a huge focus organizationally, or there wasn't a whole lot of organic support for it. So, I haven't really had a solid plan, but that's the direction it's kind of taken, and it's been pretty cool to get to keep working with working dogs.
Oh, I bet. That's incredible. As a matter of fact, Austin, you want to handle the shout out we're going to do before our promo?
Yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to our good friend Bree Canine, who actually met Evan. So just want to give a shout out to Brian because I know he's listening to this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. It'd be good if I see him again too.
Yeah, he actually told me he plans on taking one of your classes. So.
Yeah, you can hopefully get on one. There's some coming up, a bunch coming up between now and December.
Yeah. So.
Cool. And we'll definitely talk about that more in the episode. We'll definitely plug some of your dates coming up. But before we get into the actual episode, we got to give a shout out to our official sponsor of the podcast, which is Invicta Coffee. Invicta Coffee is a veteran-owned company, another infantry dude. And he has some really good roasts that Austin and I drink quite a bit. The favorite one that I like is definitely his bourbon and pecan, where he did a deal with Sisterdale Distilling bourbon. So if you guys are interested in saving a little bit of money and having some amazing coffee. Oh, also one little thing, he also gives some of his proceeds over to programs that help with mental health for veterans. So he's a mental health advocate as well. The promo code that you can use though is Fight Like Hell, all one word, at checkout, and you can receive a little bit off. That's our promo.
Yeah, so let's get into weekend adventures. Rob, so we haven't done a podcast in like what a week and a half, 2 weeks.
It's been a week and a half for the Fight Like Hell podcast. But when we were sitting in the green room, there was a comment actually by Evan, because we asked if he had listened to the podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, I just listened to you guys with Jack Carr." So we should probably clarify that for our listeners, because a lot of you that are avid listeners got to hear an episode. That was technically an episode where I was a guest co-host with our good friend Dr. Piccolo on his podcast, The Protectors. And if anyone is an avid listener to this podcast, they know that I'm a huge Jack Carr fan, and I've been wanting to interview him. And we actually we're working with his publisher right now to see if we can get him on in June or sometime way after the Amazon release in July. But that was, how many episodes have we done now? This is the 59th, I think.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of podcasting over the last year and a couple months. And at the beginning of all this, we've had guests on that get nervous, and we've had, Austin get a little bit nervous at times at the beginning of all this. That was the first time I ever was super nervous at the beginning of a podcast. For the first 15 minutes, I felt like my voice was shaky, and I was just super intimidated by who I was talking to. And then it leveled out, and I felt like I had decent questions. You actually helped supply one of the questions, and it was a cool experience. It unfortunately took away an episode from us just because we got a lot of things going on in our personal lives, but we felt like it was good content. And Jason said that we're more than welcome to do a crossover episode where we utilized it for Fight Like Hell. So we hope that you guys all enjoyed that special episode. Other than that, I've been sitting around really doing nothing, just going to physical therapy and stuff and waiting to find out if I can walk later this week.
Yeah, you did have a special.
Did he die?
You good?
Battery was dying on the computer.
Okay.
Forgot about that. I didn't plug it in.
Okay. I was like, wait, don't get vertigo. Where's your claw?
It's fine. I got the claw.
So actually you had a special visitor last week, Rob. How'd that go?
We'll get into Amanda here in a little bit. Let's tip it back. And yeah, no, it was a great visit. First off, Amanda, hi, love you. You're amazing. But at the same time, I feel like I've been talking the last 5 minutes. So Austin, how was your weekend?
Didn't do anything.
I knew
Same
it.
as
So
usual.
let's go on to the most important person on this episode, and that's Evan. What did you do over the weekend, or what do you got coming up?
Well, I'm moving out of my house, so I've mostly been getting rid of stuff. Let's put the house on the market.
The joys of moving.
Yeah, it's not, especially after realizing I've accumulated 14 years of nonsense, and then being like, well, especially when you a lot of the stuff that you may or may not have acquired throughout a military career, and then you're like, honestly, I don't need this. I've been holding it onto it for a decade. I've never needed it. And then
as soon as you throw it away, you're going to need it.
That is, I've already accepted that's going to happen. But I'm going to live in a tow behind trailer down by the river and just kind of travel around teaching classes. So
there you go.
Try to fit into a 150 square foot space.
I take it you're not married then?
No.
Yeah, I don't see if you're married that doesn't happen.
No. Which I'm looking forward to it, but it's mostly when I talk to other buddies, they're like, "Oh, dude, I want to do that so bad," but then they're married. Well,
right.
You can come visit me in my RV down by the river. Just bring beer and Twinkies.
No, that's an awesome way to live. I might still be able to actually do that before Amanda moves out here.
You ain't got much time.
You want to come on tour with me? You go on tour?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting.
Just tell your boss you got to work remote.
Yep, I'm working remote for the next 6 months. Yeah, that'd be sweet. No, that's good, and I love the era that we've moved into, where a lot of people are either inspired and or Austin died for a sec. No, he's back.
Who knows? Who knows?
I love how people are getting into this whole entire small life living, or tiny homes, trailers, or
minimalist,
or what's the other one? Van, Sprinter vans and stuff like that. That shit's awesome. It's a fun way. It's a fun way to see everything and actually just get away. And are you staying in Washington, or where are you gonna go?
Well, kind of, and I think it'll hopefully get easier as it goes, because I'm planning out classes and trying to do it in a sensible manner. So far, there's only a couple where I'm kind of going back and forth in a manner that isn't super convenient. But I'll mostly, I initially when I had this idea, I thought it'd mostly be in the Northwest, but honestly, it's looking more and more like you'd be surprised the number of training events and seminars, or maybe you wouldn't, in like Indiana, Ohio, kind of the Midwest area. So, but I'll be pretty much like almost in a circle around the United States, like from Washington, Oregon, California, Georgia, New York, Indiana, Ohio. And I think some others I may have forgotten about.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And then you said you're going to be going to like police or search and rescue to teach them, right?
Yeah, I have a couple like sport dog being hosted at like a training facility. There's still law enforcement officers coming to that one because I just kind of figuring this out as I go. A lot of like sport clubs and stuff, it could definitely, like, their dogs getting injured is a concern too. But for the most part, my classes are all law enforcement, search and rescue, professional working canine teams, and that's how through donated funds, Spikes Canine Fund, especially these agencies that don't have the budget for this kind of training.
Yeah.
So it's really just my priority, honestly, is that these professional dog handlers, dogs that we're putting in harm's way, that they have the equipment and the skills they need for if the worst were to happen to their dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's incredible stuff. And I recently started following your page. Austin, would you mind bringing up his Instagram?
I sure can.
Because I'm pretty sure your Instagram is the one that has all the training on like the stuffed animal dogs, like trying to like do interventions or like life-saving stuff for it.
Yeah, so I do. So I was in a special forces group, and so a lot of that like scenario-based training, like full mission profile type stuff, is that's the way that I'm used to training. So it is kind of I was part of the development. So a lot of like special operations veterinary personnel helped with the development of those canine first aid training mannequins. So a lot of my sweet music videos include footage with that, kind of showing more of that scenario-based training, not just kind of the classroom based stuff. That one, it actually doesn't do the bleeding and breathing. It's kind of a static mannequin. And that was
go to some of his videos. His reels are the ones that like show like them actually working on them.
Yeah, there's a whole.
That first one. First one has some sweet.
Yeah, right there.
I picked I guess it's like an LSD effect. I don't. To be honest, I don't know what I'm doing a lot of the time.
Oh, you're good.
Go.
No, but I think it's when I heard about like who you are and what you do, and thank you for also like following my page and Save Our Six as well. I was thinking in my head, I was like, holy shit, like we've never had a guest like this. We've had probably like 4 or 5 different canine handlers that have been on the podcast and organizations that work with canines. And, it's a soft spot both for Austin, myself, a lot of our listeners. And the thing that struck me interest about you was, I wanted to get like your backstory, because it sounds like you were essentially a doc for our special operations canines. Am I spot on, or like how would you describe like your military background?
So before we get into that, let's get into your whole background. And you said you moved from New Zealand, correct?
Yeah, I was born in New Zealand.
What made you decide to? Did you move here, or did your parents move here?
My mom. So my parents split up. My dad was the New Zealand, the Kiwi. Mom was the American. So we moved back to the States after that. I was probably 11. I think I was 11.
Yeah, no 11-year-old is making a decision to move to America. That was like the dumbest question ever. But like, continue.
I'd like to think I would have.
I mean, Dude, New Zealand sounds awesome. I've been to
Right?
Australia.
That's what I was thinking.
And
I was thinking,
Tasmania.
I've heard like amazing. Have you been back to New Zealand since?
Yeah, I haven't since the before times, before the
Before
plague.
COVID.
So before times.
But hopefully here soon, be able to go back and visit that side of the family. And it is. I mean, it's better than Australia, for sure. But it's really
They got
really
hobbits in New Zealand.
Place. They do have hobbits and orcs. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, so
yeah.
it's
You
cool
excited
being
for
able
that
to
new
see them
series?
from Middle Earth. Yeah, I saw that. Saw the trailer. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, the new Amazon series.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah.
you moved over when you were 11, and that was with your mom, right?
Yep, mom and little brother. And then I went to school. Did the thing where you don't go to high school and you go to community college, like Running Start. So did that, and then I ended up working in like a structural steel iron factory after high school. I did that for a couple of years, and I think one day I was like, I really don't want to do this forever. So for whatever reason, I was like, I'll go talk to a military recruiter because that would be better than
You're like, why not?
Factory. And I went to the Marines first, but I had too many tattoos. And this was, I have more now, but this was 2007. And I remember
they were super strict back then.
Yeah, they were like, sorry, man, like 4 days before or something had changed, and they couldn't even try for a waiver. But I'll never forget it because the Marine, I think he must have been a staff sergeant or something, was like, I know who will take you. And then he walked me down to the Army recruiter, and that's where I went.
Yeah,
that's so opposite the way I would think it would have went down. Like I don't know. I thought the Marines would take anyone they could grab.
Yeah, it was like August 2007, so it was kind of like the surge years, and that's what a lot of the people. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna join the Marines. I honestly didn't have a good reason why. I just thought it'd be.
You're like, why not?
It'd be hardest. My granddad was in the Army, so I think there was also. But yeah, no, I remember they were like, sorry, man, you got too many tattoos. But we know who'll let you join though. Follow me.
What was your entry MOS then?
68 Tango. So that's the animal care specialist.
No, okay. So you did that from the beginning.
I didn't even know that's a thing.
Most people didn't. And I remember when I started doing like the work, I talked, this is like 2008, 2009. Like, what do you do in the Army? I was like, I work with military dogs. And I hadn't really up until that point. And back then, a lot of people were like, I didn't even know the military used dogs.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing about entering at that MOS is I got to my first duty assignment. It was like a cash combat support hospital, and the veterinary detachment was deployed. I remember the sergeant major of the brigade called me in, and I was like, I thought it was like day 2 of being in the real Army. Like private multi, you need to go talk to the sergeant major. Like, oh God, like, I literally just got here.
Like, I'm already being yelled at.
Yeah, even he wasn't familiar with my MOS.
Nope, I'm back.
So even he was like, "What's a 68 Tango?" I was like, animal care specialist, sergeant major. Keep in mind, like I'm telling, he asked, he was like, "What does that do?" I'm like, I'm like my second day in the real Army out of training. I'm even sure I'm qualified to tell you what I do. I don't know what I actually do. So I was like, well,
you're supposed to tell me what I do.
Yeah, it's like. I was like, well, it's kind of like a medic for military working dogs, is my understanding. And I remember he looked at me and I was like, I don't have any military working dogs in my brigade. And I remember, like, when he said that, I was like, I don't actually know. Like, I wanted to say okay, but that seemed like not a good thing to say.
You're like, why am I even here?
So I think I was like, yes, Sergeant Major. And but then he was like, but I need more medics. And you could do all the same things as the medics. They sent me to like EMT and like CLS and all that stuff. On Fort Lewis, and then I got assigned to an FLA and just sat around in an FLA with an artillery battery for about a year, and then I started volunteering to go work with the actual dogs.
dude.
So what made you decide to do animal specialty care?
Honestly, so it's an interesting story thinking about it because my granddad was in the Army for 21 years, and he volunteered for both Korea and Vietnam. And I don't think I really remembered it or thought about it until I started going into like behavioral health therapy. But my granddad never talked about Vietnam or Korea except for I think it was his brother or someone else we were related to was a dog handler during Vietnam, and he'd always tell the story of his dog King, like biting another dude on a camp when he was looking for him. I've always
That would have been a rush.
Most people like dogs. I think.
Yeah, that would have been a rush though, especially during Vietnam, being a dog handler.
Well, I remember when I went to the Army recruiter, I was like, I want to be an infantry scout dog handler because that was, my granddad's the only frame of reference I had from him. And like, yeah, we don't have those anymore. You could be an MP.
No, God, no.
Like, I knew enough, but I don't want to.
Yeah,
I know.
No.
I have a lot of good friends that are MPs.
I don't want to be hated.
Yeah. We have
They're
a couple
fine.
too that are even listening right now. No, we hate you. I mean, we care about you guys. And...
You guys, everybody makes mistakes. It's fine.
I mean, you almost made a big mistake. You almost were learning how to eat crayons at a young age. So
yeah, honestly, I probably would have been pretty good at that. So,
dude, and then when you said 68, like, and as a tango, I was like, wait, did he mean like 68 whiskey? Because all of us know all of us know 68 whiskey is our line medic or whatever that goes out. Because Austin and I were both infantry. I was in battalion recon scouts. I was
11 Charlie.
Yeah, and then he was 11 Charlie with headquarters. I was at
smart infantry.
Yeah,
as Rob calls it,
versus like rock pounding infantry. But yeah, so which unit were you with for with the Fister units basically?
Which are me?
Yeah.
Yes,
you.
So I started off
with artillery first, right?
Well, I was in the medical brigade, and then they had like I don't even know. It was like the ground ambulance company or something like that. I don't think they have them anymore, but it was just a bunch of four liter ambulances that kind of got sent wherever for training. So it was what was that, LDAC, Warrior Forge, where all the cadets went to Fort Lewis at the time, and so they were doing a bunch of live fire. So I think the FLA, me and another 68 whiskey were in, got sent out to that like basically that firing every day while that training was going on, and just stuff like that for the most part.
So just a lot of training.
Yeah, it was all garrison, and then so 68 series or like medical series personnel could throughout the whole war you could go and volunteer as an individual absentee. So I did that, and then I volunteered for airborne, and I ended up calling my branch manager saying I want to work with the dogs, and then they ended up sending me to Virginia Beach because the Army is the executive branch with veterinary medical support, so you can go pretty much any. I worked with the Navy, Air Force, Marines, and that was one unique thing about my career was I worked largely independently of a veterinarian for the majority of it, at least 10 years of it. And that's not, I think it might have been more common at one point, but it's not in the last probably 5 to 10 years. So they usually have a veterinary corps officer or a doctor there. But I spent most of my career working pretty independently of one. So then Virginia Beach in the Navy to starting to work with Naval Special Warfare, developed a dog program to work with them. Got moved to Air Force Base in North Dakota, which neither of you guys are from North Dakota, right?
No.
It's the best state in the Union. I would drive around North Dakota just because even if it was shorter to go through it, I'd probably go around it. Just stupid cold, like negative 64 degrees with wind chill one time.
Yeah.
And I worked there, and there wasn't a veterinarian there, but I deployed with a third ID head teams from there. And then during that deployment, I got an email saying that they wanted to have like more direct medical support for the special operations canine teams, and that my name had been like thrown on the short list. So I told them I was interested, and then went to did the selection that they had then for that kind of. It was me and like it's already a small MOS. There's not a whole bunch. There might be like 868 tangos in the Army, plus or minus. And then so they sent between 1 and 2 of us to each unit with special operations dogs, and it was kind of the first round of that becoming a thing.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rob.
So you did a lot of the it sounds like a lot of training, getting bounced around to places. And then when was your did you deploy at all?
Yeah, I deployed. So then first was with 3rd ID. I deployed as an individual, a volunteer.
Okay.
And the 3rd ID tactical explosive sector dog program. And then during that deployment is when I received the email about being on the list for providing medical support to special operations canine teams. And then once I was ultimately picked for that, and I went to 1st Special Forces Group, and I spent 8 years in the 1st Special Forces Group canine detachment, and deployed with that unit.
Yeah, a lot probably.
Well, it's 1st group, so like to be more time in Asia than Afghanistan.
Okay.
But did deploy there, and actually had a lot of fun going with the guys and training partner force canine programs, having that opportunity as well.
Okay. So yeah, it sounds like you had a lot of good times though.
Yeah, I was really because even within the special operations canine program, honestly, the experiences vary, and even how we got used varied. So I'm not the only one, but me and a couple buddies, we were taken out on a mission fairly often, so we got a lot of experience and had just very much different and unique military experience than would be typical for our peers, for sure.
Yeah, and especially because you specialize in the canines. That's the one of the biggest parts of the military. Is our canines.
Yeah, I mean they were huge during the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, being able to use their noses to find explosive devices that we can't on our own, or at least even if you use a minehound or something, you're still holding it. So
yeah,
having that.
When they have, and those dogs have, unbelievable drive. Like they don't have quit in them.
No, yeah, like zero sense of self-preservation all the time.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, especially. Yeah, we just had someone on that was a federal agent on the border, a canine handler, and he was explaining like the differences in detail versus his Malleys versus his German Shepherds, and how the Malleys will just go into the point that they drop. They don't stop whatever they're doing. Like if they're fixed on something, if they're doing a task, they won't stop. It doesn't matter how fucking hot it is, how cold it is, if they're hungry, whatever, they just keep going. So what I guess if we can, do you care if we like go into a little bit of detail on the deployments and because I, as a guy that's lost friends in combat and, have seen medics working on my buddies and stuff. And we've also had a couple of combat medics on. I kind of have an interest in knowing how different is it working on a dog in comparison to a person that's been
and to lead up to that, I actually want to ask, have you ever, I guess you probably have, but like work on not a civilian, but work on, say a person rather than a dog? Or did you only strictly work on like dogs?
I've treated human soldiers, civilians in the conflict zone and canines, injured canines.
Okay.
I think for me personally, and this is something I try to be more comfortable talking about. I think, it is mental health awareness, right?
Yeah.
100%.
At the time, I was good at my job. I knew I tried to be good at it. So,
Right.
and I, by all accounts, did pretty well. I didn't really notice it, like it sucked. It always sucked. But the thing that sucked the most, I guess, since the whole like leaving and that kind of idea that catches up to you is I have a much harder time reconciling, especially the way the conflict ended, the dogs, than at least other like human soldiers that they volunteered, they chose to be there. We all knew
Right.
what we were signing up for. So like actually it started, I really have a hard time with the sound of dogs whining. At one point, it doesn't actually happen, but I'd have like auditory hallucinations. Like my ex-wife, one time I thought I heard dogs like crying, so I come like busting out of the shower naked, ready to like spring into action. And I think her and like the pet dogs are just sitting on the bed, and she's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I heard dogs whining." It's like, there are no dogs whining. I was like, "Oh," and so I know like pay attention to notice stuff like that. But yes, I think that's one reason I'm a proponent of this stuff now. And even I upset a lot of people when I tell them the veterinary medicine clinical techniques they're teaching aren't actually helpful or going to save lives. But I was there and saw those things happen and see the consequences of it. So that's why it is important to me that dog handlers have the equipment and the training that they need, because it sucks. And you never talk to a dog handler who's experienced it, or veterinary personnel that are like, I think it depends on the person. Some people can pretty easily, I think, dissociate and say like, well, that dog's job or purpose was to make sure, we got home to our families, and that's true. And I think that's even why it can be more difficult, at least for me, more difficult to kind of reconcile that stuff. Like seeing the dogs. Most people love dogs, so seeing that kind of stuff happen to them it's super tough.
Well,
so
yeah,
I
and
say,
especially
nice to
because
veterinarians, they've been at home,
right, and especially because dogs, like you said, dogs didn't choose to be there. Like they didn't choose that path. Like dogs are helpless, in that aspect, because they can't help themselves. They can't, they rely on the human aspect of it to help them when they can't help themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally struggle with the day that I'll have to say goodbye to Allie. And one of my recurring nightmares that I personally have is I have nightmares of sitting in our sniper hide, and it's usually with people or things that I love instead of my normal team. And a lot of time, like as crazy as this sounds, like it's Allie and she's my spotter. And something happens where she gets shot and I can't fucking save her. And it really fucks with my head quite a bit. And one of the toughest things someone asked me, and it was a very cruel question, and this person was intoxicated, because they said like, you and Allie seem to have like an unshakable bond, and it's incredible. But this person like stone cold asked me drunk, they're like, what are you gonna do when she dies? And she's 4 years old, she's healthy. The worst thing that has ever happened to her is my injury right now, because we went from doing like 20-mile hikes a week, 30 miles a week, to like she can't really go on walks because she doesn't want to leave my side. Like she gets upset if one of my coworkers, the only person that was able to walk her recently was my girlfriend when she came out to visit. She's very attached to me, I don't know, like I can't even imagine what you've been through, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And it takes a lot. And like one of the things that has helped me heal over time has being very open about like my combat experience and, you know, suicides and stuff like that. Friends have killed themselves. So I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, but I just want to say that like it takes a unique person to work medical to begin with, but I think it takes an even more unique person to work medical for our canines. So like
100%.
thank you for like what
Oh.
you've done and like what you're continuing to do. It's truly an honor to like have you on the show with us and like get to just talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys as well. I really am a huge proponent being out now is that I think veterans are going to be able to help each other more than the organizations that are. I mean, there's a lot of great nonprofits and stuff, especially that I've had experience with, but just, you know, no one's coming. We have to take care of each other.
And our biggest proponent, that's why we have this podcast. And that's why we like to talk to people like you and everybody else we've had on, is because one, a lot of veterans that come back are either too afraid to talk about it and too afraid to go out there and talk about it, or they, but that's why we have this. So you can listen to other people's stories and be like, hey, yeah, I'm going through this, but this person has gone through this, this, and this, and they might not have it. I might not have it as bad as I think I do, or I might not have it as bad as these other people, that. And like one of our friends we had on, like the biggest thing that helped him, like Jordan, he lost his leg, and the biggest thing that helped him is finding people that were like him, for that camaraderie and that, help, that, community, because you can't do it alone. You can't, you can't suffer in silence. It doesn't work.
No. Yeah, no. And it is, I think, a big, like, even being, because that's come up, obviously, especially through like seeking behavioral health and the VA, where they're like, well, given what you're doing now, like I'm taking a mannequin out and recreating these scenario-based training, is it really triggering, for lack of a better word? Like, this is something that maybe you should consider. But I don't, it wasn't, I tried that whole thing, but it wasn't, because that also, then, like you said, that community and everything else with dog handlers, with other medical providers and firefighters and all these people that I'm working with, we all are invested in the dogs, and have that experience with the fact they get injured or they get killed. So yeah, there's like, it's better to suffer together than alone.
Yeah,
you can't suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very important. I've been doing a decent amount of like mental health stuff while I've been laid up and not been able to do stuff, and I've been really raw about like the things and the experiences I'm going through. And although it's not comparable to everyone, I didn't lose my leg or anything like that. Like, I'm going to be able to walk again. I'm going to get everything back. One of the things that I've noticed throughout my time coming back and, going through this injury is it's okay to not be okay. But I think it helps if people know that you're not okay. And it doesn't have to be on like a public stage. It doesn't have to go on social media, but it's not fair to people like us, like the three of us, when one of our friends kills themselves because they were too embarrassed or scared to like be a burden or, admit that they're going through shit. So I think it's healthy to even, like, would your counselor asking, if it bothers you what you're doing, it's obviously something that you're passionate about and want to do because you're directly affecting these other people's lives that can go and save their canines. And, if that's what's going to help you keep going, like, I would say lean into it. And then those times that you feel like it is too much, that's when you just make sure you tell someone that you're not doing okay with all this, even if it's us. Like, we'll fucking talk to you. Like,
yeah, I've got the benefit of knowing a bunch of like awesome, like so James Hatch he runs Spike's Cannon Hunter, founded it, so I was interned under them. So it's always like these guys, because Jimmy was before like my time, and then some of the other members of the special operations cannon community I'm close friends with now. These were guys that I looked up to when I was in my mid-20s. So being able to talk to them and say like, yeah, I had a nightmare, and like we could talk about it together. And honestly, the more you do it, the easier. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it is kind of that weird. You don't want to be like I mentioned. I knew that PTSD and everything existed while I was active duty, and I'd see it affect guys. And I guess, like I say, I would empathize. I wouldn't judge them. I wouldn't be like, "Oh, you weak coward." I just hadn't really experienced it, so I really couldn't relate. But then when you do, like if you do, then I mean, I think you'd really be surprised the number of people that struggle the same way. You just haven't talked about it.
Yeah, and like me and Rob talked about when you tell people, when you put that out there that you're hurting or that you're not okay, you'd be surprised at the number of people that actually reach out and care about you, that want to make sure that you're okay.
Oh yeah.
Because everybody says, oh, I don't want to reach out, I don't want to be a burden, I don't want to tell people that I'm hurting, because nobody cares, but more people care than you think.
Yeah, I think every time.
No.
Yeah.
So let's actually switch notes for a second here. So you mentioned something, Evan, about like most veterinarians aren't teaching right or equipped right or know the right information.
Yeah.
What is your take on that compared to like today's modern veterinarian, to like use someone who's been in that tactical environments with canines?
I think, and because I'm not the only one with this kind of experience, but it's pretty unique. Right. And so I remember the things I taught that I largely learned from veterinarians, keeping in mind that even if they're in a veterinary field hospital, right, most of what they're teaching and dealing with is definitive care in the echelon of like military triage, like their surgical care. They have a tent, or building, they have staff, machines, all this stuff. Sterility matters. They don't necessarily have field dressings. They have veterinary bandage material. And so they go and teach a course for canine handlers. And there's good information in there. I think a lot of it more falls in the realm of, I guess you call it first aid or animal husbandry, like bandaging tails, rinsing out eyes, cleaning ears. These are all good things, important to know for your dog. But none of them are going to save their life at point of injury if they've been shot, stabbed, bludgeoned, hit by a car. Some of them will, but a lot of that was, like I had a unique experience of doing kind of human medic stuff, a lot of dog medic stuff. And then also I handled a dog and was certified as a handler. I wouldn't like run around saying I'm a dog handler, but I'm comfortable handling a dog. So it kind of bridged that gap, especially when I was at the Special Forces Group for 8 years. I learned a lot from 18 Deltas and SOCMs, and we trained together, we deployed together. And so it kind of, mixed, like merging together what I learned from veterinarians, what I learned from field medics, what I learned doing it myself. And there's kind of a disconnect, because you could have a captain in the Army, an Army veterinarian, as well as their 68 tangos, but they've never been outside of a veterinary treatment facility, or they've been in the field, but it's on area, like it's in the back 40 on a base. So they're packing first aid kits with vet wrap, which is like Coband. They may not even really be that familiar with field dress, like Quick Clot, Olays dressings, Halo versus Hyphen chest seals, or have that kind of operational experience to see what does and doesn't work, and what is or isn't realistic given like an austere environment and like hostility. So it's kind of a touchy subject, because a lot of them donate this training and their time, which is great. But I still maintain that free training, that doesn't, like, just because it's free doesn't mean it's setting you up for success, given
right
how hostile action scenario. So, it's just kind of, really the whole purpose of the Instagram at this point is to get more working dog handlers, law enforcement, search and rescue, whatever, to have what I consider, with a lot of evidence and experience to back it up, the things that will make a difference if their dog was to be shot, like things to do in the house, dragging the casualty out of the house. A lot of the other things you don't need to carry and aren't going to work out when you need them to.
Right. And I think that's a big thing is, like you said, there's a difference between working in a hospital and working in this, clean, sanitized area where you have everything you need, within arm's reach, compared to out in the field in the middle of nowhere on a road, after, your dog just got shot. It's a whole different scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the things I care about versus a surgeon are two very different things.
Yeah.
So, I think a surgeon that's teaching point of injury care, they're used to, make sure you scrub the area or keep this clean. And you should always make sure you try to keep things clean. But honestly, that's a problem for the surgeon, not for me. Like
right.
if the casualty bleeds out, it doesn't really matter if they get an infection right now
or not.
or exposed to some. Yeah.
On the notes that you were just kind of like explaining there, I have a question. So Allie and I do a lot of backcountry stuff out here. What are some things that you'd recommend people carry with them for their dogs who like to go camping or hiking and, get pretty far out there where they're not supported?
There's a list. I know you can do those like button things on the top of an Instagram page, but I don't actually know how to do that. Because I always mean to like pin things, because there is a canine individual first aid.
The highlights.
Yeah, the highlights, the little.
Yeah.
We can show you after the show.
Yeah,
or just talk to us. We'll help you out with that stuff. Ezra knows how to do. Actually, Ezra has a company that helps him do it. Just talk to us.
Yeah, no,
we will help you.
Use Instagram to its potential or whatever. But there's a list on there, and I think you can plus or minus. Those are the things definitely for trauma. Things like gauze, ACE wraps. Vet wrap or co-band is the kind of like self-adhesive roll that a lot of times you use at a vet hospital. That stuff in an aid bag, never, unless you're switching it out all the time, it just never really works out. I get a lot of messages about like all these weird fancy things you can do to a roll of vet wrap to get it to work a little bit better in an aid bag, but at the same time, ACE wrap doesn't need any special tricks or unrolling, re-rolling, or tape ends. You can reuse it. So always ACE wrap over vet wrap. Vet wrap does have a lot of good uses. I put that in my truck bag, so it's back in the truck. So it's a little more controlled environment, checking it every so often. And then if you're out in the backcountry, things like Benadryl, I think you're
carry that. Yeah, I definitely carry that.
Again, those are just like the oral tabs. You can use the liquid, but the caveat with the liquid suspension is if it has xylitol in it. Some of them do for the flavoring. That can be xylitol, which is in sugar-free gum, sugar-free peanut butter. That stuff's bad for dogs. So always check for your Benadryl and make sure it doesn't have that in it. Especially during the hot summer months, if you're near a body of water, that works well for cooling a canine heat casualty. And then the instant ice packs would be another thing you can use to try to put them in their leg pits, arm and leg pits, to cool them rapidly.
Yeah. We did a hike out here that was 19 miles. We did all the way down to the bottom, went around the canyon, and came back up. Really, really long day. The ranger that was checking out Allie on the way up, that was like one of the first, like he was making observations on her to see how coherent she was. He checked her pads for me. And then one of the things I found unique, and I've brought it up on the podcast before, was he put his hands underneath her armpits to like see if she was, do they perspire there, or like what are you doing when you're feeling under there?
He might have been feeling for a pulse. The dogs don't perspire; they just pant. They can like perspire some from the pads, paw pads, pads of their feet, a little bit, kind of. Yeah, they don't. He may have been feeling how hot it felt in there. Or there you go.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So like, if I figure out how to put stuff like that in the highlights and the top, so it's easier to find instead of, because that's what, even when people ask me for this, I'll scroll through and forward it to them because I don't.
I sent it to you, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But so what you would do with that post is you'd basically share it to your story, and then once it's on your story, you can go click on it, and there's like a feature that says
it says add to highlight. Yeah,
add to highlight, and then that's how you start like creating them.
Yeah,
there's
it has to be in your story though. Yeah, you have to add it from your story. You can't add it from like your post.
Yep, but you can you can utilize a post from the past like that, and then talk to us offline. I'd be more than happy to explain it or send you some like screen records on how I do them, just to help you, because that is a good thing to have. Or link in the bio is really good, especially if you have a website or you have like an information page or even like a Facebook that you want people to go to get more info. So having like your link in your bio would help with that as well. Just because
I've been looking into more of that stuff now, as this becomes more of a real thing.
Yeah, well, we're more than happy to help you too. Like, especially Austin. Austin's really good with Instagram. He has the big account in comparison to.
When you talking about Evan has a bigger account than I do.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's
so
not
my
what
bad.
she said.
So let's go back into dogs. What I guess you said you were a canine handler. Well, you wouldn't qualify yourself as canine, but what dog did you, I guess, handle?
So a lot of times, when guys would, like, if they went on leave or something, I would just work their dog for them while they were on, like, just to maintain their proficiency.
And what dogs were you guys working over there?
Primarily, so I've seen working primarily Belgian Malinois and Dutch Shepherds for my last unit. And then at large, you see German Shepherds to a certain extent. I think we saw less and less. I saw less and less German Shepherds. And then also, I've seen some Wislas, a German short.
Hey, that's what Rob has.
That's what I have. That was one of our questions. I have.
That's what Rob has.
What were Wislas used for?
Wisla. So detection, and then I think the TSA canine uses them.
Yeah,
they did. And then the one I saw in Afghanistan, actually, so she was a contract dog, so she worked explosive detection at the ECP. And at some point, she just became like a camp dog, because I saw her on a deployment in 2013 and saw her again on deployment. It was Eden in 2017, all gray. And I was like, wait, is that
the same dog?
Yeah. And that guy was like, yeah, same. That's Eden. I was like, holy shit, man, she's been here for a while. She did explosive detection, and then as she got older, she just kind of hung out with soldiers.
Yeah, they're a great breed. Their nose is unreal. I'll think I'm out of TREATs. I don't even want to say it right now because she might run in here. I'll think I'm completely out, and she'll go like search like hiking pants that I have like getting ready to go in the laundry, and like start attacking the laundry basket. Like there's something in here. She does this thing where she'll hit it with her paws like over and over again. And I'm like, there's nothing there. And I go in there and there's like one tiny little treat mixed in like a pile of laundry. I'm like, how the fuck did you smell
She's
that?
Like, I know what's in there, Dad. Give it to me.
Yeah.
The nose.
Yeah, the nose. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, and labs. All right, we worked a bunch of labs too. So I think we're my favorite. Here's why.
Which ones? Labs?
The Labradors. Not only because they were adorable, but because when you had weekend duty and you had to like go feed them, they were the one dog that you knew for sure wasn't going to decide to fuck you up that day. Because there were some dogs that when you like go to pick up their food bowl and stuff, you're like, are you going to make it easy today, or are we going to get in?
You're going to touch my food? How dare you?
Yeah. But the Labs was always excited to see you, and you knew they weren't going to come lunging at your face if you picked up their food pan too early or the wrong way.
Yeah, I never actually thought about that. Yeah, because you don't want the meat missile like deploying on you, getting pissed off at you.
You touch my food, how dare you?
Yeah, and I mean I think one thing, at least for a military canine, if you do it long enough, you're going to get an accidental bite or a live bite.
No, yeah. I mean, that's with any handler though, or anytime you're handling a dog. I mean, it comes with the territory.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I think I've got
but
like
no,
a couple.
I have a lab.
Got
We have
dog
a black
tattoos
lab,
with a couple holes in them.
You're like, this is where it happened.
Yeah.
Mainly Malinois or German Shepherd too. Like, what were some of the dogs that
I got tagged by?
Yeah, exactly.
Mostly, I was thinking they were mostly Dutch Shepherds, like thick-head Dutch Shepherds, and then there were some Malinois as well. And some of them were, quite honestly, my fault because that was one benefit is I was in the detachment every day, so the dog got pretty used to me. And I knew what I could and couldn't get away with, but that could change. So, sometimes I tell the handler, they're like, "Do you want me to throw a muzzle on?" I'm like, "Well, that's too far away," even though it might have only been in another room. I'm like, "Oh, that's too far. It's fine. It's been fine. He'll let me do it." But then that day he didn't let me do it, and I was
famous
like,
last words.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, that's my fault. So
it's like it'll work this time, I promise. Oh, well, no, didn't.
Yeah. Well, not today, I guess.
What's the temperament like? What's the temperament like on a Dutch Shepherd in comparison to like a Mally or a German Shepherd?
I don't know if it's kind of hard to, because each dog is different, but there's certain things from each breed they embody. I know a lot of Dutch Shepherds. I met a lot of really awesome Dutch Shepherds, but then some of them have just kind of been just very angry or neurotic in some way. I think equally for both Dutch Shepherds and Malinois, you get a lot of the pacing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like my two do that. They're like sharks.
What kind of dogs do you have?
They're like half Dutch Shepherd, half Belgian Malinois. Pretty much, they look kind of like a.
Got the best of both worlds, huh?
Yeah, I got two. I don't think I just want to get a floppy haired Labrador next, and just.
That's what I have.
Yeah, have him chilling out, him or her chilling next. They're really good dogs. I got lucky. They will just hang out with you, but when they decide it's like time to bark or time to run around the room in circles, then it's that time.
When it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah, and they're 9 and 11 years old, so.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't necessarily get better with age.
Not with those.
No.
Yeah. So I got a random question for you. What are some things for our listeners that have their home pets? Like, let's say choking on a bone or a rawhide or something that they shouldn't have got that's got lodged in their throat and you can't get the item out.
For a lot of that stuff, it's going to be transported as quickly as you can to emergency vet, especially for airway stuff. If you can, they don't really recommend just blindly trying to sweep stuff out. You may cause more, especially if they're only partially obstructed. Like if they're still moving air out, you don't necessarily want to mess with it yourself and make it worse where they can't move air at all. And this is one of the things where like securing an airway or airway management in a dog is kind of tough because you can't tell them what you're doing and tell them to stop fighting and to stop biting. I carried injectable drugs with me so I could sedate the dogs that I treated in the field, at least in a deployed environment. A lot of that time that meant like a surgical airway. If you need to get an airway with a blockage, it's just going to be going for a crike or a trach. And so obviously that's something that requires a certain amount of knowledge, skill, and practice. So that's one thing with dogs. It's difficult with airway stuff is you can try to, there is a canine Heimlich maneuver. I don't know that I could explain it verbally in a way that would make any sense without rewinding a bunch. So you can look up things like that and try to forcefully shove it out of there. But I think the big thing always is depending on what it is, transporting them or getting them to a veterinary ER facility is going to be your best course of action, or should be your priority. There's only so much you can really get away with doing in the field, especially if you're on your own.
Yeah.
So just take it to an expert.
Yeah, I find myself so far out sometimes that our nearest like emergency center is an hour and a half away from here, drive. And that's if I'm not in the canyon, because getting out of the canyon can take several hours.
Yeah. And I mean, there'll be more. I'm going to talk about that more in the future. It's one of those like educationally, you can put it out there. That's one thing that I always tell dog handlers is if you're pretty confident your dog's going to die, you really can't make things. I mean, you can make them die faster in theory, but the outcome is going to be death right now. You can't necessarily make things worse. So if you've watched the movie Saw one too many times and you like go for the cricothyroid membrane with a tube of some kind, and that ends up getting them oxygen. I mean, you can.
Yeah, if it works, it works.
Yeah, do something, especially in a certain, like if you can't make it worse, if they're already turning blue and can't breathe, you try giving them resuscitative breaths, the Heimlich, the saw move.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah, because I mean, like I said, if they're gonna die anyways, you might as well try everything you can than just sit there and watch them.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody wants to do that.
No, I mean that happens, and people. That's again trying to have at least the knowledge and frame of reference and get training. I've been asked, and I just haven't had. I've had a lot going on, like moving and getting everything. Going, but I've been asked for people that want to do like classes to take their dogs into backcountry, hunting dogs, things like that. So I'm looking at doing like an online class or even in-person classes while I'm traveling if there's enough interest. But I'm also, all of my experience is basically dogs being injured, doing training for conflict or in conflict. So trying to find that like happy medium, but information that is applicable and useful versus me, bringing the mannequin and running the Thunderdome on people that just are trying to take their dogs in the woods and enjoy a hike, where I've got like Slayer and fog machines going or a gunshot wound on the dog. So trying to find like some more applicable, kind of get that course material down and not get into like too much. Yeah, then he started talking about gunshot wounds and calling 9 lines, and we just want to go to the Grand Canyon.
You're like, I just walked outside for 10 minutes. What are you talking about?
Well, if you ever
neighbor shot my dog, I mean,
yeah. If you ever want to do the backcountry classes, I would, especially if it's online, I would 100% sign up, because her and I do a lot of things by ourselves, and we've had a couple like small incidents, and I've been lucky quite a few times with her, and she's small enough where I can carry her out if she's hurt.
Do you have a sling thing?
Honestly, dude, like, I trained her when she was young to like get on my shoulder, and I just put her over that. But a couple people have recommended that, because I've had to carry her twice when she's been hurt, and
I just do it over the shoulders. Honestly, I carry the dog.
That's what I do, and I just hold her. I hold her legs like this, and I got one free hand to climb down. Because happened one time up in the mountains in Wyoming. She ended up just filling her pads with spores from like a cacti, and we're on like the edge of a cliff already. It wasn't like the smartest area to like try to get them out. So I had her get on my back, and my buddy just made sure she was like stable when she got up there. And then we worked our way down into like a valley, and then just held her in front of me, and we just sat there with tweezers for like 30 minutes trying to get all the cacti out.
Oh yeah. Tweezers, always good things to have for
Tweezers I carry. I
cacti.
carry pill form Benadryl because I worry about like rattlesnakes and stuff out here. She also takes that. She's did it while we were in Wyoming. They have like this. It's not anti-venom. It's some sort of shot that they can take annually that extends their, I guess, life window. Have you heard of it for like rattlesnake bites?
They have like a crotolid or rattlesnake vaccine.
Yes.
One thing, common misconception: Benadryl won't actually do anything for a snake bite because it's the venom, rather than like a histamine response for the antihistamines to work. I used to.
So
that
just
was
go. Like
just go,
get your
keep
ass
them,
to hospital.
carry them, kind of keep. The dogs usually get bit by rattlesnakes in the front legs or the face, because that's like they're going towards the snake. So if it's the face, there's not only so much you can do, but if it's the leg, keep the leg lower than the heart and carry them and keep them calm. Try, the faster their heart rate goes, the faster they're going to pump the venom through their body. So you guys really just carry them, keep them calm, and evac as quickly as possible. The last time I knew anything about the rattlesnake vaccine, I was active duty, and certain units were deciding to give it to their dogs and others didn't, based on, at the time, I think it was good for 6 months, maybe 12. And it covered, I think it covered certain subspecies of like rattlesnake or crotolid, something like that. And, but not others. So at the time, at least for our unit, we weren't exposing our dogs to that. So we didn't use it, but other units did. And I'm sure they may have improved upon the vaccine since then, because that would have been right 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
But I would talk to a veterinarian that does that when they have that vaccine, and maybe talk to a couple to see if you get like what some dissenting opinion.
Okay. And then what are your thoughts on like dogs that like eat bees or get stung by bees?
The Benadryl's a good thing to have for that. A lot of the times they won't necessarily go into severe anaphylactic shock from a bee sting or a hornet sting, but they can. Like my dog, he's not very smart. It's really not. And so he, like when we go camping, if there's wildflowers and stuff, he actually runs after them and eats them until his face starts swelling up, and then I give him some Benadryl and he does it again the next day.
He's like, I just want to eat everything, Dad. Come on. I don't care if it's not good for me. You'll take care of me if something happens. So I'm just going to do what I want, and then you'll just take care of me.
I watched him do it like 2 or 3 times in a row. The last time I went camping, like last July, running through a field next to the tent, just eating, what do they call them? Spicy sky raisins.
Spicy sky raisins?
Yeah, it was over like 3 times. I think he yelps too. When they sting him, he yelps. And then
you think they would learn.
Yeah, he doesn't. He really does.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of dogs just eating bees. It's like, no, you're not supposed to eat those. Nope. Did you freeze?
I did. It's back.
Okay, yeah. And so you froze for a second there. Damn Skynet.
The Skynet. It's honestly not bad, I guess, compared to a lot of other satellite internet.
Yeah, no. It's supposed to be Starlink is supposed to be like the best. Like I said, that's what Rob has, and he loves it. So it's better than no internet at all or getting dial up.
But I found out, they have backgrounds, but none of them are super cool.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, they don't have any cool ones. So let's talk about back into your military career. What's one of your favorite stories from being with units?
I don't know. That's a good question.
You don't have something that just comes to mind every time?
There's one story that like a lot of people know about is involving something. I would prank people, not like
that guy, huh?
Yeah, and like pretty pretty terribly sometimes. So there was a cadet, because a lot of people know the story, but like, oh, you have to tell the cough drop story. So when I was in that 4-liter ambulance as a medic, and there were a lot of the cadets for ROTC and stuff, and really all we did was give them moleskin for their blisters or hand out flu packs that had like cough drops in them. And they knew that they'd go to like one of the medic trucks, FLAs, and get one of these things. I remember one of the NCOs was like, oh, medics are lazy and they just sleep and stuff. I don't want to catch you sleeping. So I just put a seat collar on with all my stuff and then sunglasses. So it just held my head up while I was taking a nap. And I woke up to like someone knocking on the window of the FLA. So I rolled down my window. I mean, I had the seat collar on, so I like turned my whole body. I'm like, what do you want? You had to call him.
You're like, I'm awake, I promise.
You're supposed to call him Warrior. I was like, what do you want, Warrior? He's, I was looking for some cough drops. I was like, I don't have any cough drops. I only have cough lozenges, because it said lozenge on the packet. It was, oh, never mind, and starts walking away. So then I'm like, wait, why don't you want cough lozenges? He's like, oh, I don't know what those are. So seeing, like, being who I am, fortunately or unfortunately, dependent upon, because it's always been
Who
like
you are.
So I was like, oh, they're like cough drops, but it's an anal suppository. And he's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm like, no, hear me out, man. Like, you have way more capillaries down there in surface area. So if you boof one of these, I swear you won't cough for like 3 days. Like, it's faster route of administration, faster onset of action. Very convincingly in my fucking C-collar with sunglasses on. Like, and he goes, oh, okay, I guess I'll take them. I'm like, here you go. Have fun with your flu pack. And I assumed, like, at some point somebody would be like, no, dude, it's just a regular cough drop. But they didn't. I don't know. Maybe he was embarrassed. He didn't want to ask. So the next day I get like, which fucking medic told one of my cadets to shove a cough drop up his ass? That may have been me. And so he did it. And then it was a menthol cough lozenge and or a cough drop. And so it was very uncomfortable as it happens.
Yeah.
And he had to go get that removed. So I got to go pull it out. And that, yeah. So
how much ass chewing did you give for that?
So I got handed off to like a master sergeant who thought it was really funny. It was like, I mean, these, like, they're college graduates. They should know what cough lozenges. I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying should have fucked with the kid, but and then he had noticed that I was, because they wanted us to put the moleskin on the cadets. I'm like, this is it's just, you just put it on. Do it yourself. So, but they had told the cadets that the medics had to do it for them. So they'd come up to me and be like, I need moleskin. I'm like, well, you can do this one of two ways. You can put it on yourself, or I can put it on you. I'm like, well, they said you had to do it. Again, I'm giving you two options. And then I would cut it into a giant dick-shaped moleskin and slap it on him.
Of course you would.
Yeah, so the master sergeant was like, I've also seen your dick-shaped bandages, and you should probably knock that shit off before anyone else notices after the cough drop thing. So, yeah, that's probably a good idea. No more dick-shaped bandages.
So you're telling people to shove cough drops up their ass, then you're giving them dick-shaped, moleskin.
Yeah, and people still ask me questions about medical-related things. I don't. And I did that. I mean, that was, and I think because I'd be a lot kind of monotone, say with a straight face. Like one time we were going TUI. I told the guy, I went first. I was like the PDSS, so I was there first. He was like, well, what should I bring? I'm like, well, the one thing about Alaska that's weird is none of the hotels have pillows. You have to bring your own pillow. He's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, I don't get it, man, but I've never been to Alaska before, so apparently that's a thing. So he packed pillows, and we're at the airport. I'm like, oh, man, I hope you didn't pack pillows, because they definitely have those in Alaska. He's like, oh, dude, I took up so much space in my duffel bag with pillows. I don't know why you guys keep believing me.
Don't listen to me.
Honest.
Whatever I say, don't listen to me. Rob, do they have pillows in Alaska?
I think we should keep this trend going. No, they do not have pillows in Alaska, even though I lived there for like 8 years. Allie's from Alaska.
Yeah. The thing about Alaska is bring your own pillow.
Yep, you definitely. Anyone who's traveling to Alaska coming up, I know my boss Lowell's getting ready to travel up there, and he listens to the podcast.
Bring your
I
own
know
pillows.
even you lived up there, but they actually removed. I heard
All
it was like a
pillows.
COVID thing too. They removed them all. They were afraid that it was transferring amongst guests that visited. So you have to bring your own pillows now, basically.
Yep. Heard it here first.
On the Fight
And
Like
if
Hell
you ever-
podcast.
If you ever buy lozenges, make sure you get the menthol ones, and they're suppository now.
Yeah.
I did want to ask
Right
him.
up-
I was like, I bet you stopped coughing though. Right?
Right? Yeah. Did it work?
Well, I came back from letting the dog out to joining that conversation, and I was like, "What the fuck are they talking about?" I'm like, "I'm gonna have to rewind this part of the podcast and listen to this."
You know,
It's talking about
suppository.
shoving cough drops up a
So,
freaking
yeah.
soldier's ass.
Boofing, cough lozenges. Keep them in the
Yeah.
old prison pocket.
Oh, hey, you would have been a fun doc to have on the team. Like, that's,
Sometimes it depended on if occasionally I'd go through the showers and fill the shower heads with purple Kool-Aid powder.
nice.
So, you turn it on and
Yeah,
it gets sticky, and that's how you
Purple.
get ants.
yeah.
What was your favorite one you've ever done?
Favorite prank?
Yeah.
I don't. So it's gonna sound terrible, and it.
That's
and it
okay.
is,
That's
but
what
it
we're
was
here
totally,
for.
totally
That's
worth
what
it.
we're here for.
Especially if he listens to this. So the one time there was this one officer, and he like, so this is where it's really shitty, because I mean, indirect fire sucks. Nobody likes getting mortared.
Right.
But he was. So I spent like all night blockading his door with holes, like floor to ceiling, down the hallway. Because at this point, we got rocketed so much, we didn't even bother going to the. Like, we could go to the. You're not going to the bunker. I would, like, if it started coming in like super close, I might roll under the bed. Like, that was really going to make a difference.
Right. Yeah.
So-
If it hits you, you're not gonna live. It doesn't matter if you're under the bed or.
So we filled the hallway with water, like the packets of water bottles. Even some of the guys saw me doing it quietly in the night and started helping. And sure enough, we get like the IDF alarm and getting rocketed the next morning. And so you can hear him trying to Kool-Aid man his way through
Oh yeah.
all of the water bottles. Like,
Hope he froze. We lost him.
No. You need to talk to Elon over there.
he was. Shitty part is, I think he was very distraught, but so we could just hear him trying to fight his way out of this big water bottle barricade we had made, and he got out of there fast. Like, it was impressive how quickly he took down what took us quite a while to build, but I think that might have been one of my favorite, just because the amount of it. We were stacking water bottles for a couple hours.
Did he ever find out it was you?
Oh, he knew for sure. He knew
Like that
it.
Evan
He knew it.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he knew for sure.
That practical joker.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Rob?
I guess tell us when some of your upcoming events are, like, what's on your calendar.
What are your plans? What are your plans for the next foreseeable future?
Consult my handy dandy notebook, because I know that, like, people put shit like this in their phones now, but I don't like use I'm better at, paper stuff.
Paper.
Kind of. And when I say better, I mean mildly better, being organized this way. But actually, the Army has its first canine seminar at the end of June. So the Army, and I don't know if you call it Infinite Wisdom, has asked me to come teach the scenario portion of that, which will be cool.
Is that up at Lewis?
Scatatuck, Indiana, the big urban training center, kind of. I think it's MTC, the Scatatuck Training Center. So they've got a bunch of cool stuff, simulating stuff there. Kind of do the full mission profile type scenario based training. And then after that, I'm teaching a lot of the Spikes Canine Fund, coordinating more classes with Canines of Valor to teach through them to police departments and search and rescue. And in September, it's Muscatatuck again. And that's the American Tactical Canine Association seminar. So that one's still open for registration. You can audit it, but it's primarily law enforcement or military dog teams.
Okay. So yeah, sounds like you got a lot of good stuff coming up, though.
Yeah. I think like 1 or 2 classes every month in New York in December, which maybe that would have been better not in December, but at least I'll see snow for
what part
the holidays.
What part of New York?
Long Island and potentially Buffalo.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, my brother-in-law is stationed at Fort Drum.
Ooh, that's
so yeah. He's up there. He's up there at the border.
Yeah, definitely.
Where he went from Fort Lewis, to Fort Drum.
No, that's very different.
Yeah,
not even a little bit similar.
Huge difference.
Went from like perpetual rain to just being cold.
Yeah. Cold and lots of snow.
Dude.
And yeah.
Okay, cool. And then if someone wanted to actually go sign up for these courses, you're basically like these courses are already set up and these events are already set up. Where would someone go if they want to get more info besides your Instagram? Is there a webpage or?
Yeah, a couple of places you can get more info. And so Spikes Canine Fund, I teach through them in Spike School. And you can, if you look at their Instagram or social media, Spikes Canine Fund, they have information for applying for Spike School scholarship. If you're a professional law enforcement or search and rescue team, which there are some requirements because they want you to have the certification, be able to use photos of you and your dog, things to, justify the donations. Because I've gotten that feedback. Some people just, they see an application, so they just kind of don't do it. But it's really, you honestly can fill out the application in 15 minutes. I mean, if your sentences aren't super great, no one's going to care when you're filling it out. Canines of Valor is another one that does it through donations and nonprofit funding, as well as donating dust off canine first aid kits are the ones that they have all the things that we've used over the last 10 years. And then, you can always email me through the email button if you want to schedule a class outside of those organizations. And then additional references is Spikes Canine Fund actually has an iPhone and Android app. And part of when I was an intern, we put like an emergency medical reference guide on there. There's more information about applying for Spikes schools and other things. Like Spikes does the ballistic vests, the Canine Storm ballistic vests. Okay. And then through Ready Warrior or Special Forces Medics, we co-wrote or added to this Canine Med reference guide via bar napkin, a very cliche thing, but this guide has a bunch of reference material, as well as the free app has a lot of the same info. So if you're looking for just more reference information you can have on hand, say those two things.
Okay, man. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because like I said, our buddy Brian is Look, he's a professional search and rescue, so he's looking.
Nice.
I think he's looking to. He has a cadaver dog.
Yeah. I think
So
he has a little. I think he's a little black lab.
yeah, it's a black lab cadaver dog. So
Yep.
yeah, he said he's gonna plan on taking some classes with you. So
Yeah, that'll be cool. I think I saw him this past January. I think.
yeah, he does a lot of classes. He's always out doing classes everywhere. So
And I remember the people. Because I really enjoy meeting the dog handlers and stuff when I travel. But it's funny because I always remember their dogs way.
well, I mean
better.
that's because you're a dog
Like,
person. I mean,
yeah, like I'll remember their dog's name, and stuff. But then be like, I know that you're, like I know you're ours.
you own that dog. That's all I know.
I forgot your name.
I mean, dogs are better than humans, so.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People know Allie around here more than they know me. They're like, "Is that Allie?" And they're like, "What was your name again?" I'm like, "Cool,
asshole."
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
if you got anything else, Rob?
The only other thing I wanted to close on before we get into ATI is I did want to purposely bring it up later on the episode to test to see if my girlfriend's even listening to episodes anymore. So that was part of the reason why I didn't bring up her stay, because it was actually terrible. It was the worst visit I've had of anyone who's ever visited the Grand Canyon. It was absolutely.
I'm texting her right now.
No, it was good. Her and Allie did really good together. Yeah, it was good, and everything's set up for her to come out here in July, where she's going to stay with us and bring up Finn, her little 9-month or 8-month-old Vizsla.
Oh, nice.
We met through this new dating app called Instagram. It was she found me on like hashtags or whatever because I have a Vizsla. And she's like, "Oh, that
dog's bringing people together.
That Vizsla has got a hot dad that's attached to it." And yeah, she's had a really. I was like, "Holy shit, this cute ass Vizsla just followed me. I'll follow that Vizsla back." And I'm like, "Wait, it's got a hot ass mom with it too." So
60% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah. Dude, I loved that you opened up with your hands up like I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. No, it was a great visit. I purposely wanted to insert this at the end because we can see if she'll actually listen to the episode, because she hasn't even listened to my episode with Jack Carr, which I told her was like
I listened to it like 2 days ago.
I listened to it.
And
you did great, by the way. I didn't pick up on any of that nervousness you were talking about earlier.
The first minute or two, like
he was. I could tell.
He's my best friend.
Just because I talk to him every single day, and I've done with him so many times. I mean,
I couldn't tell for what it's worth.
Thank you.
You weren't.
So strangers can't tell, so that's good.
Yeah, straight like someone that hasn't heard the podcast, I think I did well with, but almost at least 8 people DM me and said, first off, like really good questions, really good interview. It was freaking cool. But they're like, yeah, we could tell at the beginning. Like I think like 4 of them at least said, I could tell you were a little bit nervous. Like your voice inflection was different. So
I think anybody
whatever.
Probably would have been like, oh, you want to just ask Jack Carr some questions? Like, oh, yeah, I'll try to pull that off casually.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's Jack Carr. It's not like he's this no-name author. He's fucking Jack Carr.
And his book was coming out in like less than a week.
You finished it.
But we don't need to go too deep into that. If you guys want to hear that episode, go back one. It's episode 58, or you can go listen to him on the Protectors podcast, which is probably 458, because Jason's an elite podcaster that's been doing it quite longer than us. But no, it was a cool experience. And the only other thing I wanted to ask, do you guys know anything about this monkeypox shit? Like, what the fuck is going on?
I intentionally ignore the news just because none of it makes me feel better.
Yeah, no,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
It's like I saw like memes and shit about it today, and I was like, what What is going on?
I saw something about it like in New York, but
I just figure that when major metropolitan areas or columns of smoke as I travel around in my RV, I'll know it's time and just like stay in the woods for a while.
Yep.
Move out to the next place. Okay. Cool. Well, Austin, you got anything before we get into ATI?
Nope. Yeah, no. The only thing I was saying is, so as ATI is, we usually do super fucked up questions at the end here, just to end it lighthearted and having people laugh. And so,
what is it?
If you're ready,
does it stand
super answer the internet? It's would you rather questions? Would you rather questions?
Yeah, yes. They're super fucked up questions.
I'm not to disappoint my mom and anyone else watching.
We asked terrible questions, so it's okay.
Great.
I'm ready. These ones don't look that bad. All right, I'll lead in. Are there more eyes? What the fuck question is this? Are there more eyes or legs in the world? That's not a would you rather. That's not fucked up.
Not all of them have to be fucked up, Rob.
All right.
It really depends. Like, can you count? Are you counting like spiders have like 8 legs? But they also have like a bunch of eyes too.
Yeah, I'm counting all insects, all animals, all people, everything.
I'm gonna go with eyes. Deciding eyes with aquatic life.
And they don't have because they don't have any legs.
And then even insects have multiple eyes. I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, but they also have some of them have multiple legs. What about like a centipede?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Oof.
I mean, you can go either way, but I'm gonna go with eyes.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard because
I'm pretty good at being decisive, even if I'm wrong. So eyes it is.
What do you think?
What do you got, Austin? No, I asked the question.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna go. I think eyes is a good answer. That's when I originally saw this, I heard this question. I was like, I think eyes.
I think you're just copying our guest. I'm gonna go legs because of things like centipedes and stuff, and just to be different. But I mean, like legs. they don't.
Yeah, unless you're a crab, then you have legs. But
snakes.
But there's a lot of
legs.
Yeah, snakes don't have legs. Lizard. Well, I guess lizards do.
Okay, so whatever. Yeah. I'm going legs. All right. Okay. What? I miss having legs at work. Go ahead. You can read it.
Would you rather eat 25 Carolina Reapers or fuck your next door neighbor?
Oh, damn. All right, this one went.
Gotta pick the neighbor, or is it like?
No, your next door neighbor, like your next door neighbor.
There's one on each side.
Yeah, you can pick one.
Well, I feel like
you're single. You can do this.
I'm just trying to decide if having sex with a morbidly obese man is easier or harder than 25 Carolina Reapers. I'm not being a dick. Because objectively, he's a large dude.
Stating facts.
There'd be less heartburn involved with banging the
and less ass burn.
But also, like, he's on a rascal scooter too. So is that involved in any way?
He's not getting away. We're not fast on this
while he's driving.
Like, because I'll have sex with the muffler's like his scooter definitely before the 25 Carolina Reapers, if that's an option.
No.
But with him or the Reapers, it's a lot more difficult than it should be. Just because 25 Carolina Reapers, that'd be a really bad.
That's
week.
Like a lot, man.
That's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, like the neighbor is just hopefully
once and done.
2 to 5 minutes of shame, and then that's it, and a shower.
Okay,
so what do you pick, Evan?
What's your final decision?
I'll just take the neighbor. That's less consequences.
Oh man, I'm pretty sure you would get an ulcer if you had 25 Carolina Reapers. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, Amanda, but this is ATI, and I don't want to die from eating too many Reapers. I'm fucking one of the neighbors. I'll let her pick.
Yeah. I think I'm because like I read this and I was like. Well, I mean, you'd have a really hard time. After 25, you're gonna have a very painful next week or two.
I mean, like that could fucking permanently mess you up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't even eat one Carolina Reaper. Like, I've had parts of a Carolina Reaper and it was miserable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going the same thing.
Okay, cool. Well, Jessica and Amanda, we love you. Stop listening to ATI. All right. Would you rather have to show up to your parents' house naked or show up to your in-laws' house naked?
Honestly, I would do either of those things. But
yeah, I gotta do both.
You only got one option though right now. Now, would you show up to your ex-wife's parents for your scenario?
I mean, he probably would.
I'd go with my own parents. Like I've already disappointed them for sure. So
I'm already disappointment enough. I might as well just show up.
Oh shit. Austin, what you got?
I mean, if I show up to my parents' house, they'll just be like, "Okay, come inside." Like, what do you want? Like, you shouldn't stand there.
I'm pretty sure the 3 weeks that my dad was out here, like helping me like change like bandages and stuff, he saw me naked. So, and like helping me get ready to like take showers and stuff. Yeah. So I'm gonna show up at my parents' house naked. I don't know how Amanda's mom would take it if I showed up at her house the first time meeting her naked.
Like, sorry, wrong house.
Is that your boyfriend? Yeah,
No.
He's mimicking his dog right now.
They're both naked.
He's very attached.
He doesn't believe in clothes. Forgot to mention that part.
Yeah.
He lives in the. Did you know the Grand Canyon was a nudist community?
Yeah. All right, next question. I gotta get out of here soon to take care of Allie. She's like,
if you were paid $100 million to have sex with one animal, what animal would it be?
What the fuck?
What you got? Evan?
One animal?
One animal.
$100 million?
Yep.
That's a lot of money. This might be worth it. I'm just trying to think like what
an predator.
An apex.
Why, so you die afterwards?
You'd have to. You definitely have to earn it. Like a great white shark or a Bengal tiger. Because then it's not just because then I mean it's already weird, but you get $100 million, and they're like, oh, and he fucked the Bengal tiger, like somehow pulled that off.
Are you gonna tell people that you fucked the animal?
I mean, I figured they would find out when I have to do my tax return or something. For the $100 million.
Sir, how did you acquire this money?
Fuck the Bengal
tiger.
tiger.
I'm just saying, if you tell people I got $100 million for fucking a sheep, they're gonna be like, oh god, they're gonna judge you for sure.
Yeah,
if it's a Bengal tiger or like some other apex predator, they're gonna be like, holy shit, like they're still gonna think there's something wrong with you, but a completely different way that I think is better, even only slightly.
What are you picking, Rob?
I worry about dying in my current state. Like I don't think I'm outsmarting an apex predator.
Right?
So, and like, even though I want to sound cool and say that I would be interested in doing that too, so I could have this badass story. Oh yeah, I fucked a bear to get more.
Like Super Troopers in the woods.
Right? Bear fucker, do you need any assistance?
Or like freaking coming up on a mountain lion sleeping.
Start fighting it.
No. I would like to have my $100 million. I'm gonna go weird and just easy target. Maybe probably a sheep. No, fuck no. I'm not fucking my dog. Like we've been over this.
Trying a hard line.
Yeah. Yeah, sheep.
My first thought was the sheep as well, just because it'd be easy.
Yeah, They're like that.
I mean-
They're like a good height too, because like I thought a llama, and I was like worried that
Those are
like
tall.
it'll
You ain't that
kick me.
tall.
I'm not tall enough. It would have to be laying down. And then like I was thinking like, horse or something like that. And like that's a good way to break a rib or like get your face or your dick kicked off. Like, yeah. So yeah. And then like setting up for sex, especially with a broken ankle, is challenging. I learned that last week. There was a lot more work done by Amanda than myself, but yeah, so I got to be able to handle this animal, and I think I can pick up a sheep.
Fuck that sheep real good. I'm gonna give that sheep the time of his life. And never forget.
Best 15 seconds of his life. But your story would be way cooler.
Well, Evan's over there gonna go fuck a Bengal tiger and then get eaten by the Bengal tiger.
I'm at least gonna give it the old junior college try. There's 2 birds, one stone.
Oh my god! All right, well, that was ATA. You did well, Austin. I was like, these are lame at first, and then they got pretty bad, pretty fast.
Yeah,
Well, is there anything that you would like to plug before we jump off here, Evan?
No, just there's a lot of good references out there for canine med stuff. Myself and a couple other guys are going to try to host more of the medical Mondays on IG Live, where we answer questions. So, if you guys think of any, and I really appreciate you guys having me. Definitely look forward to staying in touch and learning how to do Instagram highlights.
Yeah.
Man, for sure. And then don't go away. Don't leave when we end this, because we'll talk a little bit afterwards.
Yep. All right. I'll close us out because like Allie's losing her fucking mind right now.
Yep.
Anyways, thank you for coming on, Evan. It was a unique experience. We definitely value our guests when they come on and what they bring to this podcast. Also, anyone that's been an avid listener for a while, we really appreciate the support. Please do us a favor. If you really like this podcast, share it. Share it with someone else. Introduce them to the Fight Like Hell podcast. Introduce them to Evan's page. Introduce them to Vigilant Humble, Save Our Six. And other than that, we hope you all are having a great weekend. Not weekend. What the fuck did I just say?
Have a great week.
Have a great week. And let's get the fuck out of here. Peace.